All right, here we go. I saw this video from the Messed Up Church a while back, actually, and discovered some things from that kind of coincide with Beltway. I won't show all of this, but just so you get the gist of why and what I'm doing, um, you'll see. I'll post the entire video of this. How much money did Johnson and Volatin really make? I'll post that in the description. Here we go.
Works 40 hours a week there. Combine his two forms of income, he's doing a little bit better, $163,034. What about this
So
guy?
this is
Here's
Bethel's
Valentin.
Form 990.
He works 40 hours a week for Bethel Music, according to this Form 990, and his income adds up to $157,458. But let's not forget, oh yeah, can't forget this guy, Bill Johnson. He's a board member. He only works 10 hours a week for Bethel Music. Not really a lot of time. He doesn't sing, he doesn't write songs, he doesn't play an instrument, but he makes $250,544. Now, going back to the overall list, you can see that there's a couple of guys who I'm guessing do the real work, and they make good incomes for themselves. It's a gigantic media company, so no big deal. This is the part I want you to see next. This is where they have what they call in this particular Form 990 independent contractors. Look at the address 11140 Sarah Drive in Reading. Here's something called the Deer Creek Legacy Trust, which has that exact address. They paid this trust $553,791. I wonder where that address goes. Now, there's another independent contractor they paid $375,000 to for services, and it just so happens to be that this Johnson family farm is on the exact same road with the exact same address. Huh. Now here's the Form 990 from 2018, and instead of just calling them independent contractors, it actually says business transactions involving interested persons. In other words, these are big payments made to people who are actually part of the company. Oops, did I call it a company? Sorry, I was supposed to call it a non-profit organization. Look at, there's Brian Johnson Ministries, got paid $176,000. Deer Creek Trust got $610,000. And you'll see Johnson Family Farm, they got paid again $375,000 for services provided. Looks like the Johnson Family Farm had another real good harvest. So here's what I could find online about this Johnson Family Farm Incorporated. You can see the address, 11140 Sarah Drive, Redding, California. And you can also see that the agent and the chief executive officer is somebody named Brian Mark Johnson. And yes, it's Brian Johnson, Bill Johnson's son, the guy from Bethel Music. So if you were in Redding and you went to Bethel Church, it wouldn't be hard at all to just take a short drive to this nice little wooded area with nice homes on large lots, and you would be able to visit this address, 11140 Sarah Drive, and you wouldn't see a farm. What you'd see is a residence, a house. But there is something there called Goat Lord Farm. It's a place of worship. It's listed as a place of worship with this address. This is the guy, Brian Johnson, who's getting paid a ton of money to work at Bethel. And yet he's got his own church in his house, apparently. I don't think it's a real church. In fact, I'm sure it's not a real church. I just don't know what it is. Luke Hendrickson says, the best goat lord you'll ever meet. Digging in a little deeper to the Form 990 from the year 2018, you'll see the official salaries look relatively modest for the guys at the top. And I think that's on purpose. I don't think they want people to see the really gigantic sums of money, the buckets full of cash. For instance, if you add up the three entities that all go to Brian Johnson in some way, it adds up to $1,161,832. Wow. Hey, but what about this guy, J.J. Taylor? Last name sounds real familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, it's Joel Taylor. For some reason, he's using the name J.J. to pay himself in a way that's not so obvious. Here's a little page that I found on something called Corporation Wiki, which is supposed to help you see the connection between various corporations. Just to be clear, I am not against celebrities making a lot of money, and it's
All right, so you kind of get the gist of what's going on. So I did the same thing that Kevin Stephen Kozar did. He's the I don't know what you would call it, owner of the Messed Up Church channel. So I did my research on Beltway Park Church. I do have a background in business to business sales, so I do know how to look up who owns what, when, and where. Now, I don't know what to call what this is. I don't know. I don't want to use a strong term as money laundering, but I definitely don't know what to call it, and it seems very shady. So basically, this is the name um, of Beltway Park according to that website. So I looked that up on the IRS because I wanted to see their copies of their Form 990 returns. Well, to really not my surprise, I expected to see this. At least Bethel posts their taxes. Beltway will not post their taxes, so you can't see. You just got to take their word for it where their money goes. So here, the corporation wiki, that's kind of blurry. I don't like that. Um, not really sure why. But we've got some names like Five Stones of Eden Farms. Um, there's several of those same LLC. Um, I don't know. It just looks really suspicious. And when you look up these LLCs, the address is like Lubbock's Five Stones Gathering or Fellowship. Sorry. Look at there. It also goes back to home addresses of elders and pastors that go to Beltway. I'm not going to put the cities. I'm not going to be as ruthless as Stephen Kozar. I wouldn't say ruthless, but bold, because I don't know if this is illegal. It seems pretty illegal. It seems pretty shady that they're not transparent and showing where all their money's going, really. And so I looked that up. Like, what would that be called? The situation you're describing may be referred to as financial misconduct, fraudulent activity, or misuse of nonprofit status, depending on the specific circumstances and intentions behind the use of multiple nonprofit LLCs. In some cases, this could also be indicative of self dealing or charity fraud, where individuals. Well, let me go back here. Sorry. I'll pause it. Oh, I'm messing this all up. You know what? We'll just go back a little bit here. We'll go back to there. There we go. Let that clear up a little. I apologize for the blurriness. I think it's just my internet, honestly. So here we go. The situation you're describing might be referred to as financial misconduct, fraudulent activity, or misuse of nonprofit status, depending on the specific circumstances and intentions behind the use of multiple nonprofit LLCs. In some cases, this could also be indicative of self dealing or charity fraud, where individuals in leadership positions use nonprofit organizations for personal gain, particularly if the addresses of the LLCs correspond to the pastor's home addresses, which is exactly what we see. I think the right thing for them to do would be to show their tax information. Whether they will or not, we shall see. Next slide. If there were legal implications, such practices might also be referred to as abuse of nonprofit status or nonprofit evasion, especially if they are non complying with the state or federal regulations regarding nonprofit organizations. It's important to consult legal or financial experts for an accurate assessment. So you can clearly see that something suspicious is going on. If you want to watch the full deal about Bethel, go ahead. I'll post it in the description.